The thrills of doing the small gigs are kind of getting back to your roots. It's a long time since I've visited some of these places, some of these little seaside pavilions and things. And they're great places to play, actually. You've got your audience right there, you can see them, you see how many there are, you can see whether they're enjoying themselves or not. And if they are, then it adds to your spirit, you know, you get a feedback from it. So it's quite exciting. Also, just to revisit the places, you know, it's quite nice. So it's probably like 20 years since I've been to some of these places. We did Cornwall the other day, which I've never been to. Well, I mean, I've been to, but we hadn't ever played. So it's good fun, you know. I like being with the audience. I like seeing them and reacting. This is the basic difference. When you're playing to, you know, 50, 60,000 people, it's great. You've got to kind of project everything. Hello, wow, massive. It's all got to be very sort of big. And it's very difficult to just throw in a sort of a little sort of joke and aside, you know, which is, well, you can do that in these littler places, you know. If you make a mistake, you can kind of stop and you say, well, look, it's all like a party, you know, it's just Friday night, so we'll start this one again, and kind of, you know, it's that sort of informality that I like. Now, what inspired the Secret Gigs? Tell you the truth, we just finished the big tour in last year, and we were going to have a year off. We were really going to rest up, and I was going to just get involved in this oratorio I was doing, but we weren't really going to play. But then we suddenly got a new drummer in Blair Cunningham, and started playing with him. And one of the guys in the band said, when we got him in the band, it was backstage at a TV show, sort of shook his hand and said, you know, well, welcome to the band. And Wicks, keyboard player, he said, welcome to the band and a year off. And it seemed a bit kind of, it was a little bit near the knuckle, because we were not doing anything. So with him just joining the band, I thought, well, you know, and I know he likes to play a lot. So I thought, well, this is crazy. We can't just hold him for a year and say, we'll be playing in about a year, you know, so stick around. So I thought it'd be a good idea to get out and do some playing. But I didn't want to kind of, the whole organizational thing of getting in computers and lasers and lights and millions of big trucks. So we thought, well, we could do some little gigs. There's quite a few places off the last tour that we didn't get to. Little out-the-way places like this that haven't got the big auditoriums. And they're still great places to come to. There's still people live here and they breathe and laugh and just like anyone else. So we decided that would be a good thing to do, you know, between me, the group, our manager and stuff. Thought it might just be a little bit of fun. And that's just what it turned out to be. So we went down to Barcelona and had a little riot of a night down there, which was great. So we hadn't got there on the last tour. We ended up in Naples, which was crazy. Napoli, which was great to play, you know, because the last time we'd done Rome and Milan. Then we went to London and played a little club there called the Mean Fiddler, which is really little. You know, it's the kind of place, I think the night before us they'd had a little Irish band called the Dubliners on. And that's more of a sort of, yeah, holy headily, ha, here's your sister Kate. You know, it's a bit, they're kind of an Irish folk band. So it was, I suppose that was a little bit challenging actually, because it was a club that was known for small acts and stuff. So to go down there and tone our whole thing down was, I suppose, a bit of a challenge. But we had a lot of fun. That's the main thing. You know, I really like it if at this stage of my career I can actually be enjoying myself. And I think that's like a really big bonus, because it comes over to the people. If you and you enjoy yourself, then you're not standing up there quaking with fear and sort of projecting it onto this audience, you know. So we did Cornwall, as I said, and that was great. It was really good, Cornwall, because they're a great crowd. It's right at the end of England, and not many people get down there, you know. But they're a roaring crowd, you know, the Cornish pasties. So we had a great time there. I was talking to my manager about the show that was going to come on MTV. And he said, well, you know, if it goes out on stereo television, he said, the first thing it'll be a bootleg, you know, it's very good quality TV, and it'll be bootlegged. So I said, oh, yes. And he said, well, we could possibly think of something to do about it. So we got our heads together and thought, well, we'll release a kind of good quality thing. And we were very happy with the soundtrack right as it came off Unplugged. So, because Jeff Emmerich had mixed it, and he did Sgt. Pepper, and he's a really great engineer. So we thought, that's it. We'll do a very simple, spontaneous album. We'll whack it out. We'll do a limited edition. It wasn't that limited, mind you. You know, I mean, so for some young acts, that would have been called a giant hit. But you know, for us, it was less than 1 million, so it was kind of limited in many ways. That's worldwide. So we did it like that, and I think it went down very well. You know, it got some really good reviews, which I normally don't get. They normally pick me apart like nobody's business, you know. But they said, "Oh, you know, spontaneous. It sounds like they're having fun, all that stuff." So it worked out quite well. It's a difficult problem, really, bootlegs, because I know that people, when I go to a concert, I approach it completely innocently, and I'll make a bootleg. I did one of Stevie Wonder's show. You know, I just love Stevie Wonder, and I was going to his show, so I thought, well, I'll take my little tape. No one will ask me. And I think a lot of people approach it that way, kind of quite harmlessly. But of course, you know, for me to be saying that, then people start pulling their hair out and say, "What's he doing? He's telling the kids to go and bootleg." Well, I mean, I must say I do have a lot of sympathy for like how I understand the Grateful Dead do it, but they actually have a bootlegger's enclosure, and the kids send, you know, "Hey, here's the San Francisco show, man. Well, you know, dig this. It's the New York show," and they swap them and stuff. So as a fan, I've got a lot of sympathy with that. But as a sort of, as someone who's, you know, involved in kind of business and record company thing, I understand their point of view too, because it could be ruining their business. So I suppose both of them have got a point of view. I think as long as it's little home tapes and stuff, I haven't got any big problem with it. It's when, I mean, in our tour last year, they actually caught some guy who was rigged head to toe, like, you know, a spy, with DAT, which is the, you know, the marvelous format. And I mean, if you record like that, you can get pretty healthy sound out of that. But they caught him, so he got stripped of all his DATs and frog marched out, unfortunately. But I say I sympathise with it, as long as it's not too professional, I suppose. While we were on the world tour last year, Richard Lester was filming quite a few of the shows, and he did the film that we showed before we went on, which was on the 3 screens, and it was kind of a historical perspective. It went back to 25 years. It showed me in Wings, it showed Linda in Wings, it showed me in the Beatles. It showed some of the historical things that had been going on, and the hysterical things that had been going on in those 25 years. And because Richard Lester did it, who did Hard Day's Night and Help, he's quite a mature bloke, so he didn't really want to just be too frivolous. So he put some quite heavy footage in there, you know, so you get me singing Long and Winding Road, and you get the B-52 bombers dropping heavy armaments, you know, artillery on Vietnam. So people would say to us after it, people said, pretty uncompromising, that film, you know, you certainly weren't talking down to the audience with that. So when it came to doing the film, we generally had a talk with Dick Lester and said more of the same, really, you know, maybe as a direction to go for his concert film. And that's what he's done. He's taken some of the best performances off the tour, some of the best footage, and he's put some of the jokes, some of the serious points, and he's juxtaposed them. There's a good word for you. I wish I knew what it meant. But he's put that against some of the songs and stuff. So I think he's made an interesting film. It's certainly a little bit different from the normal concert film. Yeah, while I was doing the tour, I would have, you know, a couple of weeks off or a few days off, and I'd get with Carl Davis, who I was writing the oratorio with, and it'd be a great relief from the kind of hecticness of the tour, just the two of us sitting around on the piano and writing all this stuff in our heads rather than broadcasting it or performing it. So that was what the tour was. So it was a really nice balance to be doing that. And you also got the feeling of, ooh, we're cooking up something and nobody knows about it yet. I mean, so it was a nice, kind of slightly secretive thing to be doing, and also a very good balance against the high keyness of the tour. So I enjoyed it. Now, this year, it's actually come into being, and we've done the first 3 performances of it, 2 in Liverpool and 1 in London. And I really enjoy it. You know, to me, it's just music. I never really make any hard divisions between the Grateful Dead, Bach, Tchaikovsky, the Beach Boys. I mean, to me, I love the Beach Boys harmonies, but I also will love some of the chords and the progressions that Bach uses. And I don't pigeonhole them all off and say, oh, that's horrible, that's nice, unless the music itself is bad. But the style of music, I'm quite sort of easy with. You know, I can like a lot of different styles. So this year, it's another kind of balance now. You know, I've got the kind of oratorio now floating around in the air and maybe being performed a bit more. And I'm back with the rock and roll kind of thing now. It's very liberating for me. You know, I don't like to feel I'm trapped in life. I don't think anyone does. One of the reasons you try and earn a lot of money is to free yourself. So you can say, well, sod it. Well, I don't have to work. You know. So that's what I've arrived at now. You know, the ultimate for me wouldn't be just not working, because I like working. You know, it's not work what I do anyway. It's kind of play, really. So the ultimate for me is to have this kind of balance and be involved in a couple of worlds at once. It's all music. The thrills of doing the small gigs are kind of getting back to your roots. It's a long time since I've visited some of these places, some of these little seaside pavilions and things. And they're great places to play, actually. You've got your audience right there, you can see them, you can see how many there are, you can see whether they're enjoying themselves or not. And if they are, then it adds to your spirit, you know, you get a feedback from it. So it's quite exciting. Also, just to revisit the places, you know, is quite nice. So it's probably like 20 years since I've been to some of these places. We did Cornwall the other day, which I've never been to. Well, I mean, I've been to, but we hadn't ever played. So it's good fun. You know, I like being with the audience. I like seeing them and reacting. This is the basic difference. When you're playing to, you know, 50, 60,000 people, it's great. You've got to kind of project everything. Hello, wow, massive. It's all got to be very sort of big. And it's very difficult to just throw in a sort of a little sort of joke and a side, you know, which is, you can do that in these littler places, you know. If you make a mistake, you can kind of stop and you say, well, look, it's all like a party, you know, it's just Friday night, so we'll start this one again, and kind of, you know, it's that sort of informality that I like. Now, what inspired the Secret Gigs? Tell you the truth, we just finished the big tour in last year, and we were going to have a year off. We were really going to rest up, and I was going to just get involved in this oratorio I was doing, but we weren't really going to play. But then we suddenly got a new drummer in Blair Cunningham.